Hello, my name is Kristen Huffman and my presentation is on feral children. Herman stated in 2007, wildness as status and behavior defines the borderlands of human nature, the outermost reaches of otherness, and the innermost geography of selfhood. To be wild is to be at once utterly uncommon and thoroughly universal. There's paradox to the reason why wildness inspires such curiosity, even obsession, in the case of wild children. Children who are left on their own or separated from all human contact will digress in a matter of months to become what is known as the feral child or the wild child. The digression of the feral child to their basic instincts changes scientists' understanding of what separates humankind from beast because of cases like Jeannie and Victor, and moving from spiritual beliefs to scientific reasoning. In this presentation, I will give examples of true and false feral children, what makes them different, and how by studying them has changed scientists' view of what makes humankind different from beast. Feral child has similar attributes and are emotionally, physically, and mentally behind other children their age. Popular stories such as Tarzan and Mowgli have caught the public's attention and desire to discover other feral children throughout centuries. Though Tarzan and Mowgli's story are false accounts, there are several others. Over 100 cases have been discovered worldwide. This world map shows all the known feral child cases. The red dots are the cases that were discovered between the 1300s and 1800s. Most of these cases take place in Europe, as records were kept better in these areas. The purple dots are all the cases during the 1900s. World War I and II helped discover and cause many of these feral children cases, as the wars left parentless children and improved communication and travel worldwide. The green dots are all of the cases discovered since 2000. These cases mostly refer to children of extreme abuse cases that have feral children characteristics known as the modern feral child. Herman recently stated, "These children who, like Victor, were frequently presumed to have been raised by animals such as wolves, are more likely today to emerge from the hell of severe child abuse like Jeannie." One of the most recent cases takes place not in the wild, but in the middle of Los Angeles, California in 1970. Jeannie was isolated to a single room, tied to a potty chair, or locked in a cage for 12 to 13 years. Jeannie is known as the first modern feral child. Jeannie suffered from extreme abuse, and she resembled a feral child. She was malnourished, had bad eating habits. She spat and salivated constantly. She could not keep eye contact, and she investigated objects first by taste and smell. Jeannie only made guttural noises from her throat, and all language was beyond her. Jeannie held other important feral attributes, such as the indifference to hot and cold temperatures, not understanding personal space or property, taking her anger out on herself by biting and scratching. One theory was the origin of language lay only in human biology and was the product of being human. The second theory is that man came into the world already equipped with language, and we developed it further. In the early 1800s, a naked child was captured in the nearby woods, taking shelter in Lacan, Paris, and would come to be known as Victor. Victor was brought into a time where great thinkers believed that savagery was part of human nature, but could a savage be brought back into society? Victor walked hunched over with an uneven gait, had amazing speed, was indifferent to hot and cold temperatures, and ignored all humans around him. One important thing that Victor did not have was language. He spoke in guttural sounds and howls. For years they worked with Victor to bring him back into society and giving him language. Eventually, they gave up on the attempt and Victor reverted. Some have suggested that the distinction is metaphysical and spiritual, such as the idea that not only humans are considered conscious of death, or that only man is curious but has a desire to know. Some have the basic biblical belief that man is separated from animal because of God has sent them to have domain over the creatures of the earth and were made superior from the beginning. An article from God News lists several God-given abilities: the ability to think in plan and time, the ability to create art, the ability to think abstractly, the ability to create language, the capacity for scientific thought, and the ability to conceive morality. Though all these abilities are only accessible to humans, it cannot be the reason for what makes us different from animals, as not all human beings are capable of this, such as handicapped and feral children. Scientists have discovered a gene called FOXP2. This gene is involved in speech and is only discovered in humans and not animals so far. The case of Victor and Jeannie open and close scientist theories of what separates humankind from beasts. Some theories follow spiritual ideas, while others follow a more scientific approach. Some theories follow, but I believe that humankind in their naturalist form are closer to animals than we wish to recognize. Gail Nelson once said, "In a worldwide view that radically separates humans from non-humans and rationality from animality, both children and pets straddle the great divide. Each is seen as not quite human and not quite animal. Pets are humanized animals, and children are animal-human, and the instinctual, untamed substrate that humanity shares with other species. Children are uncertain whether they are beasts or men, little animals more like their pets than their parents." Are there any questions that I have at this time?
I had a question. What would you consider a feral child or the wild child?
A feral child or wild child is any child that has been away from human contact for a period of 3 or 4 years. They revert back to their natural instincts.
What common characteristics do these feral children have?
Many common characteristics that feral children have is indifference to hot and cold temperatures. They're unable to speak. They have a strange way of walking on fours or gaits or hops, hunched over. They also have bad eating and communication habits. They also are unaware of people around them in a room.
Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Thank you. Have a good day.